All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yep. All right, Kush, we're all good. Give a nod and I'll know. Okay, great. In order to soar, you must be ready to fly. And in order to fly, you must have wings. Today, judges Aizaman, as well as Kush, Thomas, and Yeji, have provided several recommendations to help give Vancouver International Airport their wings so that they can emerge from this pandemic as a greener, stronger, more diversified, and sustainable business ready to serve our community. Now, like many other airports, YVR was not safe from the pandemic as the global event has shifted cultures and removed the luxury of traveling. Cargo has since been on the rise while personal travel took a serious cut in business. And while this looks bad for business, the decline in personal travel outweighed the growth in cargo, overall decreasing the level of greenhouse emissions. Now, what do these two lines of service look like in the future? Well, for cargo, growth is expected to be steady. However, there is a need for modernization. There's a multitude of technological advancements that YVR can adapt that could help leverage the rise in cargo to modernize it in the future. As for personal travel, slow and steady wins this race. As restrictions ease worldwide, travel is expected to return to normal levels in approximately 2 years. After spending the last two in the comfort of our own homes, people have been used to conveniency and have an increase in demand for sustainability, including in travel. Not to forget that with travel returning to normal and cargo on the rise, CO2 emissions will rise again, leaving YVR to meet the needs of their customers, as well as play a role in their environment. Now, speaking of the environment, YVR has committed to achieving net zero emissions. With the goal 9 years away from declaration, YVR has conducted a lot of research, and while research is a good start, there hasn't been much done to actually start achieving that goal. So with the need to improve customer experience, sustainability, and operational efficiency, YVR has a technology to help get started. Now, looking at the problem at hand, how can YVR leverage technology to lead the way into the new economy while maintaining sustainability and efficiency and enhancing customer experience through their day-to-day line of business? Well, with the 3 C's tackling customer, cargo, and climate, YVR will be able to answer just that, in which Kush will dive into the first of our 3 C's.
Thank you, Zaman. So let's start with our first C, which is customer, and we'll discuss the strategies to increase customer satisfaction by reducing waiting times and improving their customer experience through other digital applications and back-end tech integration. Now, let's remind ourselves of who the new passenger is. The pandemic has had a revolutionary impact on the world, and people have lost patience, and people have got used to getting on a Zoom call in 2 minutes and having a meeting instead of taking a 20-minute cab ride to the office. People are used to wearing a formal shirt with casual shorts. Things have changed. People don't want to lose time. People want things quick, but more importantly, they want it hassle-free. They want to know precise updates regarding their flights. With the growing concern regarding climate change, today's consumer prefers organizations that are environmentally sustainable and friendly. They need assurance that their luggage is safe. Now that we know what the consumer of today wants, let's see what we're already doing to satisfy them. The app currently provides baggage info, check-in guides, boarding passes, and navigation. Now, while these are extremely helpful, there are certain features that can be added to enhance the consumer experience. We envision a simple homepage with simple buttons that have links to the most used and most important documents that are required during the airport journey. With the vaccination status right there, we can cut down on the time that is used to check COVID documents again and again in a lot of the steps in the airport journey. A to-do list can make a huge difference since it reduces the stress that certain passengers experience during travel. It allows them to plan their trip better, and thus people will come to the airport for their baggage drop time at their optimal time, leading to operational efficiency. Lastly, a media page can allow passengers to scroll through different shopping items and certain miscream art to get to know their communities better, which enables us to help our other stakeholders, such as the airport businesses and our communities, which increases their exposure. Now, let's look at the more back-end side and the operational side of things, where we learned that the runways at the moment, they're dictated by individual carrier schedules. Now, this is leading to the inefficient allocation of capacity and lineups at runways that end particularly during peak periods. In 2019, this caused a total of 22 hours of aircraft delay and 41 tons of GHG emissions per day. That's a very high number. Now, how can we solve that? We need to understand how to be more efficient with our runways and have more planes in the air. And this can be done by using AI and predictive tools, by an early initiation of our tarmac and planning the runway capacity management better. This will allow us to better utilize our runways and have more planes in the air. Furthermore, we learned that other successful airports, such as the Changi Airport in Singapore, uses a digital platform known as One Changi which is linked with all their carriers, their service providers, as well as their staff at the airport. Now, this leads to quick decision making, but more importantly, better decision making. The amount of time manual checks take at the airport is a major factor and has to be taken into account in the customer journey. By implementing technologies such as facial recognition and biometrics, we can cut a significant amount of time, especially in security checks and customs. The tech can be easily implemented, improve security, and it can reduce the amount of staff we have to reduce the costs. Now that we know all these things, let's see how they work together and they tie together. We have our app, which provides data to the digital twin that we're working with. Now, the more data the digital twin gets, the more accurate it would be. Next, the twin allows us to conduct effective airside optimization with the better data, since we can visualize the airspace better now. The optimized airspace saves our passengers a lot more time, and it incentivizes them to continue using the app. As they use the app, we get more data, and this starts this constant cycle of improvement. Now, let's look at the current customer journey and learn the actual impact of this solution. After doing research, we pinpointed 4 areas where we can change things. By encouraging people to do check-in online, we can reduce the time by just over 50%. Furthermore, by implementing facial recognition and biometrics, the security checks process can be much quicker, leading to just over a 75% decrease in time. Lastly, having all COVID-19 docs uploaded already and having done the facial recognition and biometrics, the same data can be transferred through the chain, making further checks at the boarding gate redundant, saving time there as well. Furthermore, through airside optimization, more flights are taking off in the same time, thus making the boarding gate time reduce as well. We also see an approximate 35% decrease in the time taken at customs, totally reducing our journey by approximately 71 minutes. That's a great number. Now, when we look at the stakeholder impacts, we see that all of them get benefited in some form or the other, where we see that YVR experience a reduction in cost, an increase in efficiency, while addressing all of the 6 key issues. Now, I'd like to pass the mic to my colleague Yeji, who will discuss the next C. Over to you.
Thanks, Kush. Cargo, cargo, cargo. Well, I don't want to waste any more time, so let's go talk about how to make it more efficient. The air cargo market has been continuing to grow, and with YVR's goal to diversify revenue streams, this is an exciting opportunity for the airport. YVR's cargo volumes have grown by 7.8% between 2000 and 2015, despite no significant capital investments in cargo facilities, and while major city airport competitors on the West Coast have been seeing declining growth. There are 4 key reasons YVR is in a strong position to ride out that wave of growth within the air cargo space and become a North American cargo hub. In terms of location, YVR is a central port between Asia and the Americas and the closest major North American city to Asia, which is a great place to be in. YVR has easy access to North American highways, a dedicated truck border crossing, and proximity to the Vancouver harbor. This means YVR is perfectly positioned for efficient, low-cost sea-to-air and air-to-ground cargo transfers. YVR also has the infrastructure and logistics in place for strong growth as well, with a cargo village over 1 million square feet large, and with the top global freight forwarders operating at YVR. UPS Regional Hub and major FedEx, DHL, and Purolator operations are also available for rapid integrated shipments throughout YVR's air and ground network. And YVR has already submitted an application for an amendment to the YVR Land Use Plan to the Minister of Transport in 2021, which means they're already in the works of assessing the potential for accommodating air cargo expansion by repurposing different areas of the airport. And with the cutting-edge digital twin in the works as well, YVR is almost ready to work on all sorts of new tech. However, YVR's current cargo logistics lack the efficiency to fully capitalize on air cargo. Lynette Dujon, the CIO and VP of Innovation at the Vancouver International Airport, described the process as follows in an interview with Unity. The cargo movement at an airport is quite opaque to us. Cargo comes in by plane, they don't know what it's coming in, they don't know what's happening, so they kind of open it up and look at it and do their thing. There might be a truck waiting for it, but it might be early, it might be late. And being able to model all of these scenarios would be really powerful to monitor and increase efficiency at an airport. And there's clearly a lot of uncertainty and room for improvement within this process, which leads us to wonder how YVR can use their current position and tools to clarify this opaque process. Well, by leveraging more technology, YVR can build the cargo facility of the future. That's the International Air Transport Association, envisioned as the future of cargo. Using tools like LiDAR, automation, and wide dynamic range cameras, YVR will be able to build upon their existing cloud infrastructure with ClickSense and their digital twin built with Unity to optimize their processes. Cargo can be scanned by LiDAR technology with info uploaded to the cloud and YVR's digital twin in near real time. This data can then be analyzed to create predictive models and determine cargo load order based on final destination, urgency, and optimal stacking. This is essentially turning a game of guesswork into Tetris with machine learning. Then, this information about the most efficient route can be relayed to automated forklifts sourced from Vancouver forklifts. WDR cameras can add to this process by monitoring all objects in the storage area and providing near real-time updates to the digital twin. This will build out a feedback loop that continues to optimize and build on cost and time savings. Now, this idea sounds great in theory, but how can it be brought to life? Well, we recommend partnering with the Center for Digital Transformation at CaseIT. Their main areas of focus are cybersecurity, data privacy, IoT, and simulation and multimedia. And their emerging areas of focus are digital twins, automation, smart building integration, and blockchain. These areas of focus align well with YVR's direction of growth and showcases a great opportunity to help BCIT students build out on competencies for the future, while continuing to foster the partnership with BCIT that was established for the IoT and stormwater monitoring project at the airport. We looked at other potential companies to build out this integration, like Passport Systems Inc.'s SmartScan 3D automated cargo inspection system and XenonStack, an IoT and digital twin consulting service. But we quickly realized that high costs for these implementations, along with considering the fact that YVR is already working closely with Unity, makes it nonsensical and costly to seek a digital twin expert. And by instead working with students, like YVR chose to do with their stormwater monitoring project, they can align closely with their values in place. And so the cargo facility of the future will benefit many key stakeholders. It'll help airport staff by reducing repetitive manual labor and provide new learning opportunities to step into the digital age. This also benefits the community as a whole by providing more student learning opportunities and building on YVR's mission in creating the innovation hub to support BC and local businesses by working with Vancouver forklifts. And customers will be happy as a result of faster delivery times from efficiencies, while YVR can save on operation fees from economies of scale. All in all, this solution addresses 5 out of the 6 core issues YVR is facing today. By increasing efficiencies within the cargo space, diversifying revenue streams, CFF can help YVR stay ahead of COVID-19 and the reducing passenger volumes that exist, strengthen core operations, and create financial sustainability. Additionally, by working with local students and companies, we also address the issues of building purpose through people and bridging the gateway to a new economy by building economic opportunities within the community. Now, I'll pass it off to Simon to focus in on the one issue this solution didn't tackle.
Thanks, Yadri. So we all have some sort of role in playing to save our environment, and that goes for YVR too. So to recap some of the current initiatives that YVR has begun in towards achieving net zero, they've leveraged their digital twin to explore clean tech options, BCIT's first project regarding stormwater, and Bioport's YVR fuel research to help work towards their goals of sustainable energy, reducing water waste and carbon emissions. So what exactly does the solution look like? Well, there are plenty of options that YVR can adopt. The popular ones being sustainable fuel, renewable energy, electric vehicles, and reducing energy consumption. Now, to select which one of the following solutions YVR can tackle now, we must look at how soon it can be done, the cost, feasibility, and impact. Now, while the impact for all these solutions are relatively high, we must remember that YVR wants to begin their strategies within the next 3 years. So factoring in feasibility and costliness as well, reducing energy consumption was the clear winner. So how can YVR do that? Well, there are many ways to reduce energy consumption, whether it is to reduce a whole new energy method or simply reduce a non-movable source. So BC is known for the rain, and of all natural resources that are able to be obtained in this situation, the most feasible one to collect is rain. Using the data collected regarding stormwater as well as predictive modeling, YVR can estimate the best times to rely their stormwater-powered energy as well as the amount of rainwater that they will have in store. This rain can be used mainly for the heating and cooling of the airport, a large energy consumer, but it can also be used for other airport amenities such as the car washes and toiletries. So how does this all work? Well, the stormwater will be collected from the roofs, down a gutter, through the filter, and left in the main tank. The water can then be used to help with either cooling or other amenities, and also go through an energy pump for heating. Based on the location and past research on the rainwater, YVR can collect an average of 33,000 cubic meters of rain, in which 4,000 will be saved for the case of any fire emergencies. And in addition to that, the rainwater will also make up for 84% of the water used for car washing, and overall reduce the municipal water by overall 34%, and reduce the water waste and increasing of renewable energy. So now you might be thinking, is this really feasible? Well, there has been tons of research papers regarding the use of rainwater harvesting. In fact, YVR has engaged in such research in conjunction with Associated Engineering, as the Vancouver Airport Authority set a goal in the past to reduce potable water consumption. So basing off that research, it is absolutely feasible for YVR to adopt this strategy. Now, the solution is great as it not only helps YVR work towards their net zero goal, but also aids their community, specifically the Musqueam tribes, in environmental stewardship. So overall, it will solve the majority of their problems. This solution will help in battle against climate change, allow YVR to be financially stable, leverage their technology for the better, and work alongside their community's demands as they become one of the first airlines to utilize this form of energy. Now that we've heard all three prongs, Thomas will walk through the implementation, financials, and impact of our solution.
Sure, thanks, Iman. So urgency for our customer and cargo solutions is driven by increasing tourism rates post-COVID and land development opportunities. And we really want to capitalize on these two opportunities, which is why we recommend implementing these solutions right away, implying an upfront cost of approximately $50 million, as seen here on the bottom, through the first 2 years. Now, this investment pays off within the 2-year horizon, netting positive from 2024 onward. These solutions both cut costs rather than generating new revenue streams. So we built incremental revenues by reducing OPEX, which we got from the YVR annual reports. We're able to get accurate estimates on these projections by comparing efficacy changes to Changi Airport in Singapore, which underwent a similar transformation. So in all our hypotheses, we kind of use these estimates to scale how our OPEX would change. Now, these solutions have proven success, but the carbon emission issue is one that many businesses fail to tackle efficiently. Historically, carbon offsets have been purchased, and this is an expensive and inefficient strategy to net neutrality. Today, we've introduced a groundbreaking solution that achieves these net neutrality goals in half the time without needing to offset purchases, and it's right in front of you. So we're reducing the gap with the PCWW solution and closing the gap with the digital twin. And here's how. First, the Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions are tackled by PCWW, as seen by the blue bar graph, which revolutionizes the temperature control system in the airport, which is the greatest source of emissions for YVR. Second, looking at the stacks on the blue graph, Scope 3 emissions are tackled through the digital twin solution, which optimizes operations for external players and catapults our carbon emissions into negative numbers by 2025. So we're really beating the timeline by a factor of 2. And this is such a new innovative solution that we had to base our estimates on 2 different aspects. First, we took a look at efficiency with a focus on financials by looking at this kind of solution on a small scale, which was assessed by different university projects. And second, we wanted to know how this is going to scale out. So we looked at PCWW in Bermuda, which is a huge sort of infrastructure to their system. And this is how we're convinced that this is going to be a good project for YVR. So what is the financial impact of all these 3 projects together? Managerial goals are seen on the left here. And the CCC strategy offers 185 million of 10-year horizon NPV, which represents approximately 13% of equity value. These 6 managerial goals are surpassed. For instance, the CCC beats the industry average ROI on capital investments from 6.7% by 160 basis points. Now, the long-term solutions provide steady future growth, as seen by the green line on this graph, which hovers above net income projections for the 10-year period. We're doubling down on software expertise by hiring a team of 20 seasoned experts to work with the Unity team and prevent integration and security issues, which are the 2 risks and mitigations you see here on the bottom left of the graph. However, we considered the PCWW system a large risk at first because we know that rainfall can fluctuate. So we made a sensitivity analysis that you can see on the bottom right. The mean amount of days for rainfall in Vancouver is 200 days. But this actually can fluctuate a little bit. So you can see in a worst case scenario, we have $2.2 million of NPV. And the reason why, revenue for that year. And the reason why we're so confident that this works is because the construction costs themselves in the first year are $1.4 million. So even in the worst case scenario, this exceeds expectations. But we're not only targeting goals from the bottom line. We've considered 3 UN goals we really want YVR to be known for across the globe. By supporting economic growth, infrastructure, and climate action, we invite you to follow the CCC strategy for a stronger, diversified, and greener future. We'd like to thank you for your time, and we'd now like to open the floor to any questions you may have.
Thank you, competitors. Judges, you have 10 minutes to ask questions. You may now begin.
Go ahead, Peter.
I'd like to start, if I may.
First of all, fantastic presentation, really, really well done. And I thought that you captured the situational issues really well. I have a question just about the integration of the digital twin. You mentioned it twice, and two of them caught my imagination. And if you could please comment how the digital twin might be used to reduce scope 3 emissions. What sort of applications do you see being applicable? And then the other one was you mentioned using the digital twin to enable runway capacity or improve runway capacity. I'm not allowed to ask two questions, so if you could just focus in on one of those and give us some ideas of your thoughts.
Sure, I'd be happy to answer that. So thank you for your feedback. And actually, the good news is these two questions kind of align because, with regards to scope 3 emissions, the optimization for the runway is the reason that we're going net carbon neutral on such a short timeline. So we're optimizing, the digital twin will optimize like operations for third-party players. So external players that aren't the airport, that are kind of airplanes running through the airports or airline companies and things like that. So by offering them our services, we're cutting down on their net carbon emissions, which is how we're catapulting ourselves into those negative numbers you see on the right half of the graph for the 10-year projection.
Thank you.
Malcolm, do you want to go next and I'll follow?
Sure. Thank you. Help me just catalyze your value proposition here. To phrase that up, tell me your elevator pitch.
Right. So let's tie it in together with the digital twin. Really, we're offering a solution that optimizes efficiency in 3 aspects. First, we have customers that are optimized through the digital twin and gives us data on how to optimize operations. Second, we're taking a look at the cargo business, which is a growing sort of business stream. And we're also putting that into our digital sort of twin to help optimize solutions and drive business, which is going to grow in the coming years and make up 22% of the company's profits. And third, we're taking climate action. We want to align with UN goals, and we want to have a healthy sort of company culture and impact on the world. And this also feeds into the digital twin because we're using the digital twin with existing infrastructure to implement solutions that are going to help cool down the airport without using, solutions that harm the environment. So I know that was a lot, but just to sum it up, we've got the digital twin in the middle. We've got the customers here, the climate here, and the cargo business here, and it's all tied together in that sense.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Hi, Team Quantum. Great presentation. I just want to follow up on a theme that touches about your sensitivity analysis. You talk about a lot of innovative ideas that are highly dependent on external sources that YVR doesn't really have control over. So I'll give you an example, facial recognition, there are privacy concerns, there are interagency integrations required to make that work. Same thing with fuel. In terms of aircraft manufacturer adoption, same thing with runway management in terms of airline scheduling. Speak to me a little bit about how your sensitivity analysis addresses those dependencies that we don't have under our control.
Right, I can get us started on that, and maybe Thomas can pitch in more regarding the sensitivity analysis. But I heard you talk about certain privacy issues that come with biometrics and facial recognition. And fair enough, those concerns are completely valid, and it's a pretty big topic in the world today. But we thought through this, and the idea was that our technology will be HIPAA compliant, which can comfort the consumers to know that their data is protected. And at the end of the day, this is the same technology that we're using every day on our phones when we unlock them, right? It's just for a different type of door access. The technology is the same, and we're living in an age where tech is developing at an extremely high rate, but this new consumer that we're talking about, they recognize this change, and so they're more willing to give away certain data for the ease that it's providing us. So that's how we kind of approach the topic. And Thomas, if you'd like to chip in for the sensitivity.
Yeah, so I hear 3 main sort of factors of uncertainty in your question. The first was customers, which Kush just addressed in terms of privacy concerns. The other 2 are the weather, which is sort of mentioned on this sensitivity analysis. And the third one that you mentioned was kind of third-party businesses that work hand in hand with the airport. And for them, we're really offering them a solution that helps their business line as well. So their incentive to work with us is that they're going to be using less fuel, and they're going to be getting to their destinations faster, which enables them to get more passengers going on their planes. So essentially, we're working hand in hand with them, and if anything, this will improve the relationship. But by nature, their incentive to work with us is that this will help their bottom line as well.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks. Great presentation, everyone. I really enjoyed that. I was just really intrigued. Climate is not my specialty at YVR, but the rainwater harvesting was really interested in that. Has that in your studies review, have you come across an example of another facility that's worked really well? And could you just share a little bit about that, please?
For sure. So actually, one of the craziest things that no one actually really knows is that the northern Atlantic island of Bermuda has actually built their entire houses on this method to allow them to collect fresh water, since there isn't any of that around them. And this has been dated back to the early 1960s. And so if that type of infrastructure is being utilized in houses, it's been an honor to kind of witness how much it's progressed within the past years. So actually, some of Hong Kong's skyscrapers use this as a way for heating, cooling, as well as their amenities for washrooms. So what they do is really just collect all the rainwater. And realistically speaking, in comparison to Vancouver, just the rainwater is more prevalent there than it would be in Hong Kong. So for the fact that they're able to provide these skyscrapers with enough of the heating, cooling amenities that they need in terms of this harvesting of rainwater, it does come in handy. Also, additionally speaking, with the predictive modeling, we will also be able to kind of, mitigate those risks of having, not enough water or not being sure if we're consuming enough energy, because at the end of the day, the airport is always working, but it's never, planes fly, come in and go, but the airport's always on. So we have to make sure that we mitigate it and organize it in a sense of matter that kind of utilizes those opportunities. And I believe Thomas can definitely also add on to that as well.
Yeah, so I think, Zaman, you really set the stage for sort of the feasibility implementation aspect of it with the Bermuda example. And I want to take more of a financial perspective. So if we can go to slide 74, which is appendix solution 3 for our climate solution. Really our thought process here for, how is this going to be profitable is quite intricate. So I'm going to walk you through it in a way that I hope makes sense. But I'm open to more questions. First, we looked at a classroom in a university that was 100 meters squared and used this system to cool down their temperature. And this classroom had savings of approximately 7 kilowatt hours per day by using it in that sort of area. And then if I remember correctly, the airport that we're looking at is 170,000 meters squared. So we kind of scaled out the kilowatt savings to that amount. And then the next step that we took was looked at the current amount of money that is spent on a kilowatt of gas, which you can see starts at $0.6, so 6 cents, and grows to 0.9. And so this is multiply the cost of that by the amount of kilowatts that we're saving. That's the amount of money that this solution provides in terms of cost savings across the time span of this horizon. So that's how we came to financial feasibility. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Go for it, Peter.
So going back to the facial recognition biometric slide that you pulled up, I'm really curious about what have you thought through in terms of the data sources? Like, let's say my face and my fingers show up at the airport. How do you get the data, and what are the interdependencies that you would need for this to work? And when do those get received by your system?
Right, absolutely. Now, the way I approached this topic was I first looked at how Changi Airport did theirs. And the way they work there is, I think it starts for them from their citizens. So because they already have access to their citizens' data and their permanent resident data, because you'd have to input that while making an identity card. So first it was for them, and it's pretty easy, right? Because if I was to go back, all I need to do is put in my thumbprint, they scan my eyes, and I'm through. I pick up my baggage and I'm out of the airport in 15 to 20 minutes. And that is the kind of vision that we had for Canada as well. And the idea is at the moment, they're trying to work it on for people who aren't citizens, etc. as well. And so that's how we approach. Now, when it comes to the actual where the data is stored and that idea,
Thank you for your questions and answers. That is time. Thank you once again, competitors, for your presentations, and to our judges for your insight and expertise. We'll just have a quick transition to our next presentation.
Before this quick transition, I'd just like to say thank you to all our judges for your time. It's been a great experience, and thank you to CaseIT. It's been awesome.
Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, guys.